Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. 7 vowels. This makes it quite an easy decision. I shall be changing, and I'll keep just the E. Much nicer. But no 7-letter bingo here. Senior is one of the best 6-letter sets, but it doesn't go with an E. So, enormously annoying if opponent changes. Given how bingo-y this rack is, it will make a bingo with almost any floater. And opponent changes. Well, I'm going to change, and I'm going to change just the E. So I have Rosiner and Ironers. But I missed an opportunity there of taking an early lead. But I think it was still the right thing to do. Otherwise, I would have been making inroads into a really good 6-letter set. I think this Senior is the 5th or 6th best 6-letter stem for making bingos. But E is one of just a handful of tiles which it doesn't make a 7-letter bingo with. So, supposing opponent changes again, well, I guess Ironers, because it doesn't take an S hook, all 1-point tiles, so any play is going to score the same as any other, provided it hits one of these double-letter squares. I think opponent would already have changed if he was going to, so I wait and see what he's going to play, hopefully providing access to a double-double, but in any event there'll be access to a triple word square. I don't believe I've played this opponent before, so I know nothing about him. Finally, opponent does play, and he sticks an R, which is my duplicate tile, in the double-double lane. So, is there a bingo through an R? I don't think there is. So, how about column 8, beginning or ending in E, another of my tiles? Again, I don't think there is one. V prevents parallel plays. So, how about the H? Well, I feel there is one with the H. I'm just wondering if it's Harrison. Harrison is good. I'm just wondering if it's double R single S or single R double S. So how about the T? Snortia, Intros. So Harrison for 74. Not good. Okay, so it's single R. I'm not missing out on a bingo there. So I'm thinking about playing Intros. The danger is an X or a Z next to these vowels, but Snortia doesn't get doubled. Let me just pause. This is a bit of a ropey start to the game, but it is important to avoid mistakes if you can. So, Harrison wasn't good, but is there an alternative bingo through the H with this rack? Not that I can see. What about hooking Thrave? Because there are a lot of points in Thrave, so sticking an S on the end, which would look like this. Rosiner for 72, which I think is the same or slightly more than Intros, and no vowels next to premium squares. I'm going with this. Well, I draw the X, which would have been of value had I played Intros, but that doesn't mean I've made the wrong play. And this is quite a promising rack. Is there a 7 here? Well, there's not a 7, but is there a bingo? Quite a few floaters to consider. I'm not feeling optimistic, but I need to consider them in case I'm wrong. What about the R? I have so many prefixes and suffixes to consider. Not seeing anything with the R. So, N. No. Okay, so I'm not seeing a bingo. How about the E? No. Okay, so, look at this, fantastic, beautiful spot for my X. Watch takes an A and an S in front. But I can play Ox, and this rack lead is pretty strong. Duplicate T is not a problem in the context of the rest of the rack lead. This is 41 points. What about alternative plays? Something like Exit. That would be 39, so not as good. This is a good 5-letter set. And it's great I can score as many as 41 points and still retain 5 tiles. I am going with this. Okay, so I have TDS, and that plays in OM because Rosina takes an S. And there are a few floaters to consider. I'm just considering if TDS plays anywhere else. It doesn't play in row C. And I don't think TDS has an anagram. I have insetted through the N, but both of those could be blocked if opponent makes a play in column 8 at the bottom. However, quite a few other floaters to consider. What about the A? That feels like it goes well with this rack. No, not seeing a bingo. What about the R? That also looks a useful tile, and there are 2 of them. 3 of them, in fact. 4 of them now, and opponent has taken my tedious spot. So, do I have a bingo with this rack plus an R? And I feel I do. I don't think Sittered is good. Wow. Tiredest. That's it. Tiredest. Well, that doesn't get tripled. But I do now have a bingo, which plays in 2 spots. Tiredest doesn't have an anagram. What would score more? Do I have something through AR? So, this rack plus AR. So bingo, I feel that there is one there, and it will be a word I've studied. If it exists. Not seeing it. Okay, so what else is there to consider? Tiredest scores so little that if I'm overlooking a better bingo, it could be a lot better. I was thinking of tetradites. Okay, something doesn't quite work in that. I've only got 2 T's. So what about the N? I don't think that's better than taking out this R, and playing here doesn't put vowels next to premium squares, so pretty ropey score. What would I get in row F? Well, more. And the S is, well, the S is better positioned here because in row O it could be the bottom tile of an 8-letter bingo, so it's less useful here. I'm going with this. Am I? Yes, I am. Okay, so I think the bingo run ends. And I have an 80-point lead. Well, that will vanish with a bingo. Still both blanks to come. And I don't have a bingo rack, but it's fairly balanced, and I've got scoring tiles, and I can get rid of both of them. I have knifed and finked. K and F don't go well together in bingos. Obviously, there are exceptions. Now, no A for a watch. I think row C is potentially quite hot for a something A something play. Just considering these floaters in case I do have a rare FK bingo. Nothing with knife as a component part of a word. No, I'm not seeing one. So where can I play my K? I've got knifed in column 12, which takes out D, E and S as floaters. Replacing them with K. And oh, wow, what a bingo. 101 points. Amazing. Absolutely fantastic find. Which of course Tiredus would have blocked. But opponent would have had that elsewhere, I think. He would have had it in column 5. But look at this. I now trail. And I can't come back with a bingo. Opponent has not provided any great K and F spots. Can't see anything through AR. It would have to be a bingo to be double-double. Aper takes... Interesting. I don't think I considered letters to go in front of Aper when I had my Tiredust rack. Yeah, so Steedia would have played there. Okay, well, that's for later. Is knifed still the play? I think it is, with one blank still to come. It's a decent score. None of these tiles were worth keeping particularly. I was just considering a row E play, but although I have Kif on my rack, KE isn't good. Woe takes a T in front, so column 3 potentially useful as well. Is this the best? Well, I think it is. I'm going with it. Well, this looks close to a bingo. Do I have one through an N? I would have mutinies, and wow, there is an N, and there are 2 N's. Wow, I am guaranteed to bingo. Fantastic. But does mutinies have an anagram? Not sure it does. Mutinize, perhaps? Well, in any event, I don't think mutinize is obviously better than mutinies in either spot. Is there an alternative bingo? Look at this, we're really close, but mutinies may give me a bit of daylight. It all depends on what opponent does right now. No 7 with this rack. I have the IUM ending. I have the S plural ending. Okay, one spot's gone, but this one remains. Will I draw the final blank? Mutinies for 64. I don't. But it's quite a nice rack, and I have one of the power tiles, and it's an open board, so I have Joe Coll in row B, getting the J tripled. And there's a good chance that will remain available because there are so many opportunities around the board. No A for a watch, still 4 to come. What if Joe Coll is blocked? No bingo with this rack. Well, nothing is jumping out at me, but there's surely a good chance that will remain available. What if it isn't? So I'd rather play the B than the H. So is there anywhere for job? What a miserable second place word that would be compared to Joe Coll. Well, no, job and wob doesn't work. Banjo through an A. Nothing goes in front of Q. Remark was a nice play. Not only did it score fantastically well and is a difficult word, it really provided very little. No parallel plays and no great plays onto the U. Row K feels like it ought to be the right sort of spot for a good J play, but I'm not seeing one. Opponent taking a while. Has he got the blank? Is he about to bingo? No, but he does get 40 points. And I have Joe Cole for 64. Bang! And I don't think Joe Cole takes an S. In any event, Tiredus doesn't take anything, so I'm not opening anything super hot in column 15, and I don't think I'm opening anything at all. Now, I've got a ton of high-scoring tiles, but it's not a disaster, because there's some synergy here. I have Chib on my rack and bench. Do I have anything on or through the Z? No, nothing better than Chiz. Wog takes nothing in front. Still no A. Opponent could have played Zag, a watch, and Gox. Interesting. May have scored more. Now, I also have Chiv and Chive. Board starting to look a bit tighter. I have Chive in row K, Chive and ME. Wow, that would be a volatile play. But it would also score well. This E is quite hot in column 15. I lead by 90, but still 27 tiles to come, including a blank. Let me check the remaining vowels. 15 out of 34, so a balanced bag. The U of mutinies is really hampering row K plays. Certainly only an N goes after the U of the tiles I've got, and the H, but that's not massively useful. Wow, E of Aper also useful. Now, do I have a 7-letter play ending in E? Not sure I do. I'm just wondering if Nebich with a single B is one of the many spellings of that word. Well, nowhere particularly to play it. I have Evince, but that's not quite long enough to get doubled. What about column 8? Onto this I. Not seeing anything. What about column 11? That looks quite hot. Something like HID. VID would play, keeping bench. 30 points, keeping bench. Interesting. Not that there's anywhere great for bench, but it feels like a rack which is going to give me options and not get me into trouble. So I could stick an E on the end of vid for an extra 5 points. But then I'm keeping 4 consonants, and that runs quite a high risk of drawing 3 more consonants. I think it happened in the last game. Now, what about a play through the A of Zag? I have Bavin. Well, it's not a fabulous score. 27 points. Good rack lead, but it's opening up column A, sticking an I above this double letter square. But not that many high-scoring tiles can go after the I, so that may be worth considering. I've got 4 high-scoring tiles, and C and H arguably are the best and the most bingo-y. And Bavin would be dumping the 2 worst and turning over tiles with a blank to come. Opponents played. Gam takes an O in front. Is he setting up something massive? Well, that makes me more tempted to play Bavin, creating a second hotspot, increasing my chances of drawing an O, and also if opponent does have a hot column 2 play, he'll be opening access to column 1, so CHE is a pretty bingo-y 3-letter set to keep. And at the very least, I've got CHI in column 8, should that remain available. Bavin for, wow, yeah, double N takes nothing. I don't have an O, so there's nothing further to consider. Well, there's Chib. Interesting. What about Chib? What would that score? 39 points, an extra 12 points. Keeping only the V, playing off the same number of tiles. And this obstructs opponent's O play. I'm really minded to do this. This isn't a disastrous rack lead by any means. I'm going with this. So, close to a bingo. Column 15 still dangerous with this E. 2 E's out in the open in last place. Well, nothing I can do about that. And that's another reason for really paying attention to score. I'm 100 points in the lead, so I can survive a bingo. I have Cove next turn if opponent doesn't play in column 1, and this is another reason why opening triple word squares by putting tiles over double letter squares isn't massively dangerous in the sense that opponent has got one shot at using it. And if he hasn't got a bingo, he's got an average score. And if he doesn't use it at all, suddenly the pendulum swings. And if in making the play which opens a triple letter square, you're preserving a decent rack lead, that increases the likelihood that you can take advantage of that spot should it remain available. Now, is there anything better than Cove? Not sure. And are there any floaters I need to consider? Not seeing a 7 with this rack, so there's the T. Not seeing anything there. Not seeing anything with an E. Great, just 27 points. Fantastic. Now, what am I going to do? I could play Ovolo, keeping a very strong 3-letter set of ENS, turning over a lot of tiles, getting 16 points. But can I do better? I would like to jettison the V and one of the O's as a minimum. Just looking to see if I've got something under Chib. Quite a hot spot here. Just considering this P because Rosina takes an S. But I'm not seeing anything there. So, what to do? What to do? How am I doing for time? I haven't looked at that for a while. 9 minutes. ZO is good. Interesting. Let me see what this scores. Vols for 30. Not a good rack leave. So 17 tiles left, 8 minutes on my clock, 7 on opponent. So I do have time. Now, column 11 was one I was considering earlier for Vid. But no VOD plays. I quite like Ovolo. The score's pretty rubbish, certainly compared to Vols. But this rack leave is so much safer. Let me count the vowels. 11 out of 24, so still reasonable number of vowels. Ovolo kills this hot spot in row M and leaves me with the best possible rack leave. I think that's useful when your lead is only 80 points. I'm going with this. Wow, I miss all of the vowels. That's a shame. And no floating vowels. Ouch. Okay. I've got Neb, and actually it may be worth playing off the S, Nebs, to get the extra points and to reduce the number of consonants from 4 to 3. And it's a score of over 30 points. 13 tiles left. Wow. Well, wow, but good, because the blank's gone. Opponent's only scored 60 points. I've still got a 30-point lead. Do I do anything about column 15? What can go next to the E? Well, the F can, and the W can. So good chance opponent's got one of those. 6 tiles left. But I'm still attracted to Nebs because the score, I can't play. Well, can I? Do I have a column 15 play? I don't have a scoring tiles to go next to the E, but I do have B, R, E. So I have Bren, I think. maybe it's a capital N, but if Bren is good, and I think it is, that's 32 points, and that's a more useful spot for opponent, because opponent could well have an F or a W. Score is similar. No need to burn the S for 3 more points. Yeah, I'm going with this. Pretty good. I have Density and Destiny. No on the board at the moment for sevens. Opponent may open a bingo lane if he thinks that's the only way he can win. Zag takes nothing in front. And opponent did have the F, so I think that was the right thing to do. And preserving the S means that I've got the possibility now of playing in column 8, say ES. Y can go next to the F. Do I have any YS plays? No. 6 minutes on my clock, and I lead by about 40. The bag's empty and opponent's got UUW. What a glorious sight. So, what am I going to do now? I think the game is won. Are there really no bingo lanes? Well, this isn't a massively bingo-y rack, apart from the sevens I've got. So I'm not going to spend time looking for a bingo. So, how to go out in 2. This isn't much use for opponent, but he could play few. So I considered placing the Y next to the F. Can't score very much. What about placing the E? ZA, only the S. So ES, and then the story ends. But what does ES score? 33 points. Well, I'm not going to go out with Tindy. So I do need to plan an out in 2. 5 minutes on my clock, and this is not going to be easy. Swatch is good. Opponent's rack is rubbish. Maybe I can set up access to a triple word square that can't be blocked. So, what if I play yes? Well, opponent's got pies, so that's rubbish. Anywhere else for my Y that I haven't considered? 4 minutes on my clock. What if I play just Phi? Can I go out with this set? Do I have distend? Oh, well, I would if I did this. ISTND. I have distend, which opponent would have to block. But do I have a second out? And should I play distend first? What can I do with EY? 3 minutes on my clock. Well, I think the game is won, so although I might spend longer in an actual game, I'm quite minded to play this. So this is 21. I'm keeping YE. Opponent will probably block Fey. But I do have other outs like YE and TE. Am I missing any other hot S spots? I don't think I am. I'm going with this. And if opponent does play few, he's keeping P to U, so I will get quite a bit of count back. Where's the best spot for YE? I have lay, top right. 20 points. Can I do any better than that? Well, Faye would be better. 30 points for opponent. So this is what I'm considering. Lay for 20. Yet would be 14. 2 minutes on my clock. Just scanning the board down. What about ye, are you, and that? 19. Gamey is good. So still 2 minutes. Y and E. Yep. Okay, well there may be something better, but I'm not seeing it. I am going with this. And the final score, 409 for my opponent, 466 for me, a winning margin of 57 points, so a huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, that was a tight game. I thought opponent might catch me for a while there, but not so. So this was my unillustrious start. 7 vowels, and I like changing. Opponent's rack, he also changes. And this is the alternative. I change just the E, keeping senior, but these plays trash the rack, provide tons of floaters for opponents, trash the rack leave, and score hardly anything, so I prefer my play. Opponent plays Thrave, and now here we go. F9, Rosina, that was my play, and that scores the most. And yeah, I think I considered all of the other plays. Opponent's rack plays Watch. Now, my rack, no bingo. Tex was available where I played Ox, but I think EISTT is a better rack leave than IOST, and it's more than 2 points better. E is a much more bingo-y tile than the O. Opponent's rack. Wow, missed bingo. Capoeira plays Aper. Where would that have played? Because of O-Watch and Pox. Gosh, well, that would have been pretty fantastic. Now, my rack. Dinette's J7. Well, everything scores the same, 63 points or less, so I think my play is fine. And look at this, absolutely brilliant play by opponent. Remark, could have got 3 more points with Squeaker, F13, down from the S. That's, in any event, a brilliant play, and I trail. My rack, wow, A8. Gosh, definite through I and E, that's nice. What do? I play Knifed for 28, which, yeah, it's the same spot as Finked is in. So is ET 13 points better than K? It's not, but it is a better rack leave. So K is fairly neutral, 0, -1, maybe -2. ET, positive, but no more than +5. So there could be 6 or 7 points max difference, and there's a 13-point difference in score, so definitely better. Opponent's rack. Wow, another missed bingo. Analogon, J8 and J2, both through the N of Rosina, which is great because I now have mutinies, but even if opponent had bingoed, I would have had mutinies in row C. So I have a 60-point lead. Opponent's rack, no bingo. He has the blank, plays Zag. And now I have Joe Cole for 64, which was a very welcome score. Wow, I thought there may be a bingo here. There isn't. Opponent plays Gam, so he played Gam, keeping an O. Now my rack, and I played Chib for 39, and I still like that. And here we go. Even with, wow, I was going to say even with a fabulous rack, no bingo through the C, but there is one. But it's jolly difficult to spot, and opponent misses it. So a let off for me. Opponent plays Cloy, and I've still got my 70-point lead. No bingo for me. I play Ovolo, but A8. the same spot, novelise. Okay, well, that was just a spot I overlooked, and I think it's partly the nature of the way these words interlock that one tends to look in column 8 for 6-letter plays ending I rather than 8-letter plays ending I something E. I certainly didn't consider the longer option. Opponent's rack. And opponent plays Tenioid. He could also have played Tenidia for a very similar score. So my lead now reduced to just 30 points, but I'm on turn, and I have Bren for 32, so opponent's really in a tricky spot now. He's 60 points behind, and only 2 tiles in the bag, and he's got a rubbish rack. He could have played up Gaze, though. Interesting. But doesn't. Plays Fag. And C1 Daze and Swatch for 30. And I played Distend for 21. Okay. Well, it may be that some of these plays would have been better. Daze I'm not so sure about. But in any event, I think Distend is fine. It guaranteed me an out in 2. Opponent plays Pow. And finally, I played Lay for 20, but J12, I could have played Psi, Nye, and D for 3 more points. And that was the end of the game. So, what a game. Super exciting stuff. Got off to a very inauspicious start with 7 vowels, and opponent had both blanks, but I think I generally did not get into trouble with my racks, and I was able to keep scoring. I didn't need to change tiles again, and I got something at some point. Mutinies, that was the play, and Joe Call. I think those 2 plays gave me the edge in the middle of the game. So, all good fun. Many thanks to my opponent for a good battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.